Hey guys, James Mason here from Our Build. This external wall here is timber frame. Now it's only 90mm thick. The rest of the house we've got double skin brick walls everywhere, so it's nice and insulated, nice and solid. But because this is just open to the elements, I want to insulate it with some good thermal properties and make sure that there's not going to be any noise transmission through here. So what we've selected is the Bradford Soundscreen. We've got the R2.5. Now the 2.5 stands for its thermal properties, and in the 2.5 bat it comes out at 88mm thick, so it's perfect for just fitting in between a 90mm wall frame. They do have higher R values, which you can see here. You've got the R3.1, and as the number goes up it gets better in thermal value, but also in the sound transmission, the acoustic properties. Now the R3.1s we're going to be using in the ceiling. The reason we're not using them in the wall is because of the thickness. The R3.1s, I think they're 120 or 130, I'll have to check the technical specs on that. These, because I've got deeper rafters in the roof, I can put all those through the roof area and that'll insulate our roof really well. And then we'll use the R2.5s like I said in this wall. So let's get into it. I'll show you the product going into the wall, and we'll also cut in and out to tell you a little bit more about the product itself. Okay, so the bats come in different shapes and sizes. When you've got a 450mm stud, you want to use the 430 wide bat, so it's just going to fit in between the centers of each stud, nicely in between here. I've also got a 580 wide bat that I'm going to use in some of the other internal walls, which are spaced at 600s. So depending on where your stud spacings are, whether they're 600s or 450s, you can get the bats to match that size. Alright, so we'll cut this one open and we'll see how it goes in between the stud walls. So all you're going to really need for this is a sharp Stanley knife and a set of gloves. Now the good thing about this, it's not that itchy. It doesn't put off a lot of, I guess, a lot of dust from the actual bat itself. A lot of the old pink bats were pretty dusty and pretty awful, pretty itchy to work with, but these are pretty good. There's actually some information on their website about being non-allergenic, and if you've got problems with asthma with kids, it's probably the best bat to go with. All right, now you can see when I pull this out, it takes a little while to expand, but that's going to come out to about 88mm, and like I said, that just fits perfectly in between the stud work. Alright, so the trick is, you put it in down at the bottom level, tuck it in between the studs, and if your studs are at 450 centers, it should just work nicely. And where your first noggin is, you just take your knife, cut it just a little bit oversized. You don't want it to cut it undersized because you want to fill every gap. Keep that off cut because we use it somewhere else. And then we just tuck it in the wall like that. Do the same again. There you go. Rinse and repeat. So we'll fill this whole wall in, and then we'll move on to some of the internal walls and also the ceilings above. Now the trick with this is to really make sure there's no air gaps. You want it to be as tight as possible around all timber work. Now all these little offcuts, you keep those because they'll come in handy for filling in some of these tighter spots that I've got up around the window here. So it'll all get used up. When you get around certain services like wiring or plumbing, you can just put little slits into the bats just to open it up to let the services run through. By making that slit in the bat, it just allows the wire to run through there and not squash the bat up too much. So we'll do the same in this next piece here. Cut it to size. Bottom section there, we'll just put a little slit into the bottom of the bat. Okay, so there you have it, one wall done. Pretty straightforward. Like I said, anyone can do this just with a Stanley knife. I recommend the one with the long extendable blade so you can get through the bats nice and easily. Set of gloves. Look, you can put a dust mask on if you want. There's a little bit of stuff that floats around in the air, but it's nothing too major, but it depends if you suffer from hay fever or allergies, but I'm pretty good with this stuff. So yeah, what I'll show you next is it going into the ceiling and some of the other walls around the building site. But as it is right now, ready for some gyprock, and then we're starting to make some progress. Okay, so it's the same thing with the ceiling really. We've just got the thicker bats, which is the R3.1s, and you want to make sure these are nice and tight in between there. If you can't get them tight, I'd suggest probably a staple gun to staple them into place, but if they're a bit oversized, they should wedge in nicely. Alright, well that completes the installation phase of the Small Space Big Build project. You can see here we're making a start on our plasterboard sheeting, so keep an eye out, that video is going to be released very shortly. But if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, like or subscribe, we'll catch you next time. Cheers.